I forgave my dad for something no one else in my family even knows he did. Yeah, you heard that right. I'm 26 now, but I've been carrying this secret since I was 18. And sometimes, when I'm sitting across from my mom at Sunday dinner or laughing with my little brother, I feel like I'm living in a split reality. The one they think we're in, and the one I actually know. And here's the part that really messes with me. I don't even regret forgiving him. When all this happened, I was 18, fresh out of high school, full of big plans, and still a little bit of a daddy's girl, if I'm being honest. My dad and I were close, closer than most people I knew. He coached my soccer games. He helped me with college essays. He was the guy who knew how to make me laugh when I was spiraling about exams. My mom? She was loving, but she worked long hours. My younger brother was only 13 back then, still a kid. So in a lot of ways, it felt like Dad and I were this little team inside the family. And then I found out the truth. It started small, the way secrets usually do. One night, my mom asked me to grab a folder from Dad's office. He wasn't home, so I went digging. That's when I found it. A letter. Not addressed to him, not from work. From another woman. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Maybe an old friend, maybe a coworker. But then I read it. The way she wrote his name, the way she talked about missing his touch, the way she said, "I wish we didn't have to hide like this." My whole world tilted sideways. I remember just sitting there, frozen, my heart pounding like it was trying to escape my chest. I wanted to throw up. I wanted to rip it up, set it on fire, anything but actually process what it meant. My dad, the man I idolized, was cheating on my mom. That night I couldn't sleep. I paced my room for hours, going back and forth in my head. Do I tell Mom? Do I confront him? Do I pretend I never saw it? The next day I snapped. I waited until Mom was at work and my brother was at school. When Dad came home, I shoved the letter in his face and said, "What the hell is this?" I'll never forget the look on his face. Not anger, not even shame, just defeat. Like the jig was up, like the weight he'd been carrying finally dropped. He sat me down. He told me everything. Yes, he'd been seeing someone for almost a year. He swore he still loved Mom, swore he never planned to leave, swore it was a mistake that spiraled. He begged me not to tell anyone. He said it would destroy the family, crush Mom, ruin everything. And then he did something that completely broke me. He cried. I'd never seen my dad cry before. Not once. But there he was, sobbing in front of me. This man I thought was unshakable. And instead of hating him, a part of me wanted to protect him. I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell anyone. I told myself I was buying time. That maybe he'd end it. That maybe he'd get his act together. And in some twisted way, I convinced myself I was saving the family. But that decision came with a price. Suddenly, every family dinner felt like a performance. My mom would laugh at one of Dad's jokes, and I'd feel my stomach twist. My brother would talk about how Dad was his hero, and I'd want to scream. But I said nothing. Because deep down, I'd chosen a side. His side. Do you know what it's like to live with a secret like that? To wake up every day and carry it around like a backpack full of bricks? I'd look at my mom's face and wonder if I was betraying her by keeping quiet. I'd look at my dad and wonder if I was enabling him. And then I'd look at myself in the mirror and think, what kind of daughter am I? The guilt ate at me. But so did the love. Because no matter what he did, he was still my dad. The man who held my hand when I was sick. The man who taught me to parallel park. The man who knew exactly how I liked my coffee. It wasn't black and white. It never is. Here's the part that people don't talk about. Secrets like this don't just sit still. They leak into everything. When I went to college, I found myself pulling away from relationships. I didn't trust anyone fully. I kept people at arm's length because I thought, if my dad could lie like that, anyone could. And I lied too. Whenever people asked about my perfect family, I smiled and played along. Holidays, birthdays, anniversaries. I clapped, I posed for pictures, I pretended we were whole. Inside, I was screaming. If you've made it this far, I really want to know. What would you have done in my place? Would you have told your mom? Or would you have stayed silent like I did? Because even now, 8 years later, I can't decide if my silence was loyalty or betrayal. By the time I was 24, I couldn't take it anymore. I wasn't sleeping. I was snapping at people. I felt like I was choking on my own silence. So I confronted him again. This time I told him he had to end it. No excuses, no begging, no tears. I said, if you don't, I will. And to my shock, he agreed. He said he already had. That it had ended months ago. That he regretted it every day. That he woke up sick with guilt, terrified I'd tell Mom. And maybe he was lying. Maybe he wasn't. I'll never really know. But in that moment, looking at him, older, worn down, fragile in a way I'd never seen, I realized I'd already made my choice. I forgave him, not because he deserved it, but because I couldn't keep hating him. Now I'm 26. My parents are still together. My mom is still blissfully unaware, or maybe she suspects and chooses not to dig. My brother still thinks Dad is the greatest guy alive. And me? I live with the secret. Sometimes I wonder if forgiveness made me strong, or just complicit. Sometimes I wonder if I robbed my mom of the truth, if I stole her chance to make her own choice. But other times when I see my dad helping her in the kitchen or laughing with my brother, I think, maybe I saved the family. Maybe silence was mercy. I don't know, and I probably never will. Seriously, leave a comment. Do you think I was right to forgive him? Or did I just become part of the lie? Because some nights, lying awake, I still can't tell the difference. Here's the kicker. Last month, I was at my parents' house. Mom had gone to bed early, and Dad and I were sitting on the porch, just the two of us. Out of nowhere, he looked at me and said, "Thank you for never telling. You saved me." And I smiled back. I even squeezed his hand. But inside, my stomach turned. Because in that moment, I realized he doesn't know the whole truth either. He thinks I saved him. But really, I forgave him for me. Because if I hadn't, I don't think I'd have survived the weight of hating my own father. So, yeah, I forgave my dad for something no one else in my family knows he did. And that forgiveness is the most selfish and the most loving thing I've ever done.